Hi, I'm Barbara Gregorich, and in my previous videos on exit velocity, I have mentioned that the story is told from three different points of view. The first two chapters are from Rowan's point of view, the third and fourth are from Jake's point of view, and the fifth chapter is from Deeply's point of view. Deeply being a parrot from another planet sent to Earth on a mission. The first five chapters constitute the setup of Exit Velocity, introducing the three main characters, the inciting incident, and the main conflict, as well as a few other things. By the time a reader has read the first five chapters, she or he has a fairly strong idea of the story's direction, which doesn't mean there won't be surprises along the way. You can read these first five chapters for free or for 99 cents in my ebook, Social Justice Fiction Sampler, available on Amazon. I have already recorded my readings of chapter 1, Rowan, and chapter 3, Jake. I will now read from chapter 5, Deeply's point of view. And in my next video, I'll do an inside fiction account of chapter 5. So here it is, chapter 5 of Exit Velocity, from the point of view of a parrot from another planet. When my number came up, I was flying side by side with Fiona, our wings practically touching as we swept high above the lush tangle of tall trees. We had just completed our quarterly courtship ritual, during which I displayed my plumage, uttered my loudest, most raucous cries, lifted my wings, puffed out my chest, danced in a frenzied circle all around Fee, and strutted my stuff for hours. When she was ready, I trod her. We then crooned and nuzzled and kissed and preened and groomed each other. I was excited by the knowledge that our mating would continue several times a day for a week or longer. Normally, I could sense Fee's excitement over the future couplings too, but not this time. I wondered if something was wrong. Clicking beaks, we took off from the branch on which we had been balancing, flying up, up, upward over the emerald-colored trees and into the beautiful violet sky. "D," she chirped as we glided on a current that tickled my belly. "I drew the duty number this morning." I cooed. I forgot it was the day of the annual drawing. Fiona was serving her year as Hop, head of planet, and it was always Hop's responsibility to draw the yearly duty number and see that individual off to another planet to help the inhabitants learn how to live in peace and joy. "Whose number was it?" I asked. "Yours," she said, swooping swiftly downward. I followed her without thinking, my wings guided by her wings. "Mine," I squawked as the two of us landed on the sandy yellow ground. "Mine?" Fee nodded. "This is a duty of the utmost importance. If you succeed, your fame will eclipse that of the great Sisu." A feeling of great pride suffused me, and incredulity. Images of the great Zizu shine all over our planet, and fledglings are taught how Zizu saved an entire world of living creatures. "You are thinking of Zizu now," said Fiona, stating the obvious, "but your DU will be nothing like hers." "It won't?" I asked, still stupefied from the news that I must leave our planet. "Nothing like hers," Fiona repeated. "The great Zizu convinced creatures who were in charge of their own destinies. They chose to take Zizu's advice, but they were free to choose otherwise. In your case, the creatures in danger are not yet free to choose, for they are ruled by a small, rapacious coterie." "Can't I convince the coterie?" Fiona shook her head, her blue feathers glinting. It is not a place where you will be able to convince the evildoers to give up their ways. Your mission is to help the inhabitants build an organization that will guide them in ending the misery and violence of their daily existence. Specifically, your mission is to find, protect, and nurture 3 individuals who will help lead such an organization. Fiona gave me her most serious look. It is the triad, deeply, 3 connected individuals. Just as a triangle is the strongest shape, so the triad is the strongest relationship. I thought about this, but not for long. Every parrot on our planet must, once in their life, perform a DU, duty to the universe, visit another planet and help the inhabitants achieve harmony. And now it was my turn. I could do this. I could find an organization. I could find 3 individuals, protect them, nurture them. If they weren't already a triad, I could nudge them into one. This would not be difficult. I did not believe that my DU would outshine that of the great Zizu. I suspected that Fiona was trying to make me feel better about leaving. I turned to her with pride. Where am I going? To a planet that is in desperate trouble, war-torn, militaristic to the extreme, a huge gap between the few who own everything and the many who own little or nothing. Starvation, disease, genocide, catastrophic climate change, nuclear weapons, racial and national hatreds, mass murders. I gulped. I had not yet served my year as hop, so I had no idea there was such a planet in the universe. How could one single organization help rectify all that was wrong on this planet? I sighed. It was my duty to help them no matter how bad they were. Maybe especially because they were because they were so bad. What species are they? I asked. Fiona shook her head sadly. They are humans. Humans, I screeched. I should have known. I paced in a tight circle. They're covered with skin, no feathers at all. They're mean, they're cruel, and they're stupid. I paced and finally stopped. You are sending me to planet Earth. She acknowledged this with a nod. And they are war-loving, she added, which brings me to the second part of your mission. Second part, I squawked dumbly. Second part? No duty to the universe that I know of has ever had 2 parts. Fiona nodded. This is true deeply, and it testifies to the extreme importance of your mission. I fluffed out my feathers, smoothed down the unruly orange ones with my beak, and stood at attention. If the humans destroy their own planet, Fiona explained, which it appears they very likely will, and quite soon, then the very worst of them will seek to conquer and inhabit other planets. I was horrified. Our planet, I screeched. They would come to our planet. Yes, they would, which means we would have to fight to the death to defend ourselves and our peaceful life from them and their voracity. We would have to budget an army deeply, which our planet has not had in 20,000 years. We would have to divert money from health care, from schools and parks and playgrounds, from conservation, from food greenhouses, from music and holography, from everything that keeps us happy, healthy, and productive. She paced back and forth and spread her wings wide in agitation. We would have to train ourselves to kill deeply, which we have never done. I stood there in shock. So, deeply, she continued, the second part of your mission is to keep us informed about the likelihood of any plans the evil coterie has to escape to our planet. If we need to prepare for the horrors of war, we need as much of an advance warning as possible. The seriousness of the DU weighed on my shoulders. The orange feathers around my throat sprang up in horror. I didn't bother soothing them back down. I'm wondering, Fee, if this isn't a futile mission, I ventured. We won't know until you try, she said, clicking her beak to mine. I sighed. When do I leave? Tomorrow morning. Does that give me time to intake their history and current situation? She nodded. Let's go to the knowledge library and hook you up. But D, a word of warning. I knew what she was going to say. Fiona thinks I'm quick to act. Too quick, she says. I want you to be careful, Dee, and I beg you to be calm. Think things through. Do not be rash. It is the humans who must save themselves. She looked at me with her right eye, the serious eye. You do not want to be the first parrot ever recalled from a duty to the universe. Of course I won't be rash, I replied testily. I realize that I'll be on duty. And, she added, don't overeat. That is not for Hop to say, I retorted. Hop's duties do not extend to food consumption. Well, she said, as we pumped our wings and let the lift take us skyward, don't blame me if you're too heavy to return. We flew in through the open dome of the Knowledge Library, where the librarians infused me with data on planet Earth. They have parrots on Earth, Fee told me, thousands of different species. I'll blend right in, I said. She shook her head. Not really. You have to practice the way their parrots talk. It won't do to expose your superior intelligence. I asked the species librarian for data on Earth's parrots, and he infused me with it. I have no idea how to proceed when I get there, Fee. Let the situation guide you. If somebody responds to you, take it as an opening. Later that evening, as we locked onto our sleeping branch, Fee said to me that when I returned from my duty to the universe, I would be different. You will be culturally and emotionally enriched, Dee, stronger, wiser, with a more profound connection to all living creatures. When I returned. If I returned. The next morning, I entered a gleaming, specially designed DU ovum and was shot spaceward at an exit velocity of 134 LY, landing a day later in Chicago, Illinois, USA, North America, Western Hemisphere, Earth.